going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Trey Codes. As always, my name is Trey Holt, and I have yet another Flutter package for you all. This one is specifically for if you want to add a festive type feel to your app, and that package is called Confetti. So as the title probably explains for itself, Confetti allows you to provide a confetti type UI effect to whatever screen that you're working on in your app. So for example, let's say you have an app where you have like a list of to-dos for your user, and throughout the week they complete all these tasks, and at the final day you may want the home screen to display a success message and then display some confetti as a celebration. Well, with this package you're able to do that very easily. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how you can use that in your apps today. So right here we will go over to Confetti 0.70. So this is the package on pub.dev, currently on this version 0.7.0. It was published 20 days ago by Fun with Apps, so shout out to him or her, whoever the developer was. And it was also, let's see, it has 678 likes, which is very good, 130 pub points, which is very good as well, because there are a total of 130 pub points for every package on pub.dev. And then it also has 98% popularity, so that's very, very good. So these are just some of the metrics that you want to look for whenever you're trying to figure out what is the best package to download for your app, because there's a lot of competition out there on this site. So you want to make sure that you're getting, the top of the top. So we're going to go ahead and install this. So we'll go over to the install section, copy Confetti, copy this line actually, and then just bring it over into the app. So luckily for us, I've already got it installed, so I saved us some time, but I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So in our pubspec.yaml, we have our dependencies, and right here, we have Confetti 070, all right? So make sure that you run flutter pub get to install that package. And once you do, you're now able to jump into the meat and potatoes of implementing that package. Now we have this demo page that I use to pretty much showcase how this is going to work. And I'll explain I'll explain everything that I have in this page right now. So the first thing at the top, the first thing that I initiate is the Confetti controller, all right? And so what the Confetti controller is I'll explain it a little bit more later as well, but it's basically going to let the app know when to play or start the confetti, as well as stop the confetti. It's also going to let us know when the confetti is actually playing, so that way we can know when it's active or when it's inactive. There's also a duration parameter that's applied to the Confetti controller, and right now we have it set to 10 seconds, so that means it'll play for 10 seconds to stop, and then go again if we choose for it to do so. Then we have this array of colors called color set party. Now these are going to be the colors of the confetti. And right now I have these 5 colors: green, blue, pink, orange, and purple. Then we also have this variable called color set black and white, which is going to be a similar color set, but for only black and gray colors. So I'll show what it looks like to have some festive type confetti, as well as some black and white confetti. Then we have this Boolean flag here is playing. And that's pretty much going to let us know, hey, the confetti controller is currently active. And if it's false, the confetti controller isn't active. And we basically determine that by checking the state of the confetti controller and comparing it to the confetti controller state.playing value. Then we have our init state and dispose. In our dispose, we want to make sure that we get rid of the controller. That way we're not leaving any active controllers when we navigate away from the page. So that's always good practice to dispose of any type of controllers that you're using once you leave the page. All right, so then we have this basic scaffold. It has an app bar that says confetti. And also, if I didn't mention actually, but on the left side is the actual view of the app that I'll be demonstrating. So we have this app bar that says confetti. Then we have within that a safe area widget. Within that, we have the stack. And then within that, we have the children that we'll be using. So the first thing that we have at the very top of the stack is the confetti widget. So I'm going to come back and explain that after I demonstrate how it works, but just keep in mind that this is going to be at the very top of our stack. The next thing that we have in the stack is this text widget within an aligned center that says confetti is active or deactive. So referring back to that is playing variable that I spoke of earlier, if it's active, or if it's true, then we'll want to display a text message saying confetti is active. If it's not true, then we'll want to say confetti is deactive. Same thing for the color choices, right? So when it's playing, we'll have green, and when it's not playing, we'll have red for the text. So that's that. And then finally, we have this align down here, which is going to be the buttons at the very bottom. All right, so we have two buttons. We have a play button and a stop button. And as you can already tell, you don't have to be a genius to figure this out. The play button is going to start the controller. The stop button is going to stop the controller. Keep in mind that we also have this set state call right here because we have to update that is playing variable. So we're going to rebuild the entire widget tree and let the update the value of is playing to accurately demonstrate is the confetti playing or not. So that's pretty much the structure of this page. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate what it looks like in the app now. So over here we have the UI and it says right now confetti is deactive, which is what we want because it's not playing. So when we hit play, we have our confetti, all right? Now keep in mind that the confetti is showing in the center right now because that's where we currently have it located, and we can change the direction of where it's at in a second. But this is essentially the confetti widget, confetti controller in action, all right? So then when we hit stop, it now updates the controller, stops it, and now we have confetti is deactive, all right? So this is the very bare minimum of how to use this package, all right? And I'll go ahead and explain some of the properties and things that you can add to configure the confetti widget to your liking, all right? So let's go back to the top of that align, and we have the confetti widget right here. So I'll discuss some of the properties on it, all right? So first thing that we have is this blast direction property. The blast direction is a radial value to determine the direction of the particle emission. So if my math serves me correctly, pi is 180 degrees, so it's going to be emitted to the left. I believe if it's pi times 2, it'd be 360 and go to the right. I'm not 100% sure, but so don't quote me, but I think that's how it will work. But you only use the blast direction when you have the blast directionality configured a certain way. So the next parameter is blast directionality. And this is an enum that takes one of two values, directional or explosive. So me personally, when I see confetti, I don't like it to just fall straight to the ground or, you know, just go lateral, like it should explode, like you're at a party, you know what I mean? You want it to pop out. So the blast direction is kind of irrelevant when you have it set to explosive. And for this example, I'll just keep it explosive. Then we have this canvas property. This is an optional parameter to specify the area size where the confetti will be thrown. By default, this is set to the screen size. So for the canvas, we have it to size.infinite. You really don't need to even add that because, like I said, by default, it's going to be the size of the screen size. But just to show you what property you would pass into canvas, it would be a size widget, all right? Then we have the child widget to display, which is the child. And this is essentially saying, all right, what child are we displaying within the confetti? This doesn't need to be specified either because if you think about it, the confetti is going to be overlaying or behind whatever screen you're already working on. So you wouldn't really need to put anything in that child parameter specifically, so we'll leave this alone. Then we have the colors, right, that we spoke of earlier. And this is a list of colors to iterate over. If null, then random values will be chosen, all right? So keep in mind, if you don't pick the colors, this widget will choose them for you, all right? So we have our color set party, which I spoke of earlier, which are these colors. And so that is, that's the colors that we're gonna be using for the confetti. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate what that looks like real quick again. So as you can see, we have all these colors, right? We have those colors that we specified. Now, let's say we wanted to use the black and white confetti. We just need to replace this widget right here. I'm sorry, not the widget, the property. Save that, and you'll need to refresh the app because those colors were set outside of the build method, I'm sorry. So now when we hit play, we have black and gray confetti, okay? This is a little dooming, doesn't look as pleasant, but just keep in mind, this is how you specify the colors that you want to use for your confetti. All right, so we're gonna go back to that color confetti because this looks a little depressing. I'm gonna stop that, refresh, all right? Hit play again. All right, we're back to our color confetti. Moving along, we have the confetti controller, and this controls the animation. So you just plug in that confetti controller that we initiated at the very top. Then the next property is this create particle path. And this is an optional function that returns custom path needed to generate particles. The default function returns rectangular path. So this is copied from the package itself. They already have this set up, but this method right here gives us a star for our confetti, right? So when we hit play, while it's dispersing the confetti, we have confetti particles. If we don't have this method in here, by default, it'll just show rectangular squares. So I'll take this method out real quick and show you what that looks like. Oops. All right, let's refresh that. All right, so as you can see, we have rectangular confetti. And, some people may prefer that, the star confetti might not necessarily be your cup of tea. So if you don't want that, it's perfectly fine. You can leave that out and just have rectangular, or you can create your own as well by using this create particle path method in here, or the property, I should say. But I kind of like the stars for this example, so we're gonna go back. So we'll refresh that one more time. Get that confetti going. All right, cool. Back to the stars. The next property is display target. So the display target attribute determines if a crosshair will be displayed to show the location of the particular emitter. So this is basically saying, all right, if this is true, we're going to show you where this confetti is actually coming from. So let's set that to true and see what that looks like. Get it? All right, refresh. All right, so as you can see now, it has this crosshair that's right in the center, and that's where our confetti is coming from. So if for whatever reason you would want to see, and maybe you're just using it for like demoing purposes and you want to explain where the confetti comes from, you might want to use this property and set it to true so that you can see the actual position of where the confetti comes from. But ideally, you wouldn't want to have that because that looks tacky. It looks like someone's aiming at your confetti. So we'll go back to taking this off, and then we'll refresh that again to get rid of that. All right, cool. Then we have this emission frequency, and the emission frequency should be a value between 0 and 1. The higher the value, the higher the likelihood that particles will be emitted on a single frame. Default is set to 0.02, so that means there's 2% chance. So basically what this is saying is there's a 2% chance that the particles will be emitted together on a single frame. So the higher it is, the more, pretty much the more particles that are gonna come out at a given time. So it's at 0.02 right now. Let's go crazy and put it at 0.1. No, let's put it at 0.8. Let's give it a real high emission frequency, okay? So when we hit play now, as you can see, we have all this confetti coming, right? This might be overload. It definitely is overload because it looks kind of like a bunch of locusts, just a bunch of whatever, you know what I mean? So just know that you can kind of configure it to how you want. If you want a little bit more, you want to increase that. If you want less, you'll probably want to decrease it. So I'm going to go ahead and take it back because that looks disgusting. All right. Next property we have is the gravity, which is the speed at which the confetti will fall. The higher the gravity, the faster it will fall. It can be set to a value between 0 and 1. The default value is 0.1. So right now we have it at 0.2. So our gravity, pretty normal for confetti, right? But if we up it to 0.8, let's see what that looks like. Now our confetti is going to fall very aggressively, right? It's just coming straight down, okay? So usually you probably wouldn't want to mess with this too much. You'll probably want to keep it at 0.2. That's a good medium, good balance for the confetti to fall. All right, then we have, let me refresh that one time. All right, now minimum size, maximum size. This is an optional parameter to set the maximum potential size for the confetti. Must be bigger than the minimum size attribute. So maximum size we have right now is 3015. Let's see if we increase this to, I don't know, 60, right? Ideally this should increase our particles, our confetti. Yep, okay, so you see our confetti got a little bit bigger, so it doubled in size. So at first it was at 30, now we got it at 60. For the heck of it, I want to see what it looks like at 600, just cause I'm weird like that. I think it already increased, did it? Nope. Okay, so now it does it look like confetti, just as whatever that is. But just keep that in mind that if you want to increase the size, go up on that. But I think 30 is good for this example. Let me refresh that because it's kind of making my head spin. Then we have the minimum size, which is another optional parameter to set the minimum size potential size for the confetti. Must be smaller than the maximum size attribute. So I'm assuming that this, if you decrease this, well, let's see what happens. That's what we're demoing this for, right? If we decrease this to 510, okay, I don't think that really shrunk it, but let me see. We can take it to 1.1. Okay, so yeah. So the minimum and maximum size kind of work hand in hand. So the maximum saying the biggest size that the confetti will be is this, the minimum size of what it will be is this. So the smallest confetti that we'll have is 1.1 for the size, and these are doubles, by the way, double values. And the maximum size is 3015. So we'll go back to what we had at 2010. All right. Then we have the max blast force. So the max blast force and min blast force will determine the maximum and minimum blast force applied to a particle within its first 5 frames of life. The default max blast force is set to 20. So blast force is the force of the confetti coming out. So right now it's at 20. So let's see what that looks like. That's our normal blast force. If we up it to 60, let's see what we get with that. So our max blast force is now 60. So now it's shooting out very far. You know what I mean? We went up to 60, so now it's shooting out a little bit harder. All right. If you increase it too much, it's probably gonna go off the screen and you won't even really see it. So we'll go back. And then let's change the min blast force from 5 to 1. So now this is saying that some of the particles, the minimum that they'll go out is at 1. All right. So some of the particles have kind of shrunk in a little bit. They're not really shooting out like that anymore. Okay. So we'll stop that. Then we have number of particles, and the number of particles is the number of particles to be emitted per emission. So the default is 10. So that's 10 confetti pieces that are coming out at a time. Every time it emits, it's about 10 pieces. If we bring this up to 100, we're gonna have a lot of particles, obviously. But, oops, let me refresh this. So we put it to 100. So every time it emits, it's putting out 100 different pieces of confetti, all right? This looks a little bit more exciting than just 10. So I kind of like this. I'll keep it at 100 for the rest of the demo, just cause, all right? Then we have the particle drag right here. This is an optional parameter to specify drag force affecting the movement of the confetti. Using 1.0 will give no drag at all, while for example, using 0.1 will give a lot of drag. Default is set to 0.05. Okay, so let's see what happens when we take this up to 9.5. All right, let me refresh this. Okay, and we hit play. Oof, even got an error right here. All right, so without a low particle drag, it looks like things are kind of clumping together like that. Which doesn't look like confetti. It looks kind of painful, whatever that is. So we'll go ahead and take that back down to where it was at. We won't mess with that one anymore. Okay. Refresh this. Oh, it's still there. Get it out. Hold on. Huh. Oh, that 0.05. Okay. That was the original. I was wondering why wasn't it working. Okay. The default is 0.05. There we go. All right. Then we have stroke color, and stroke color of the confetti is black by default and requires a stroke width greater than 0. And then we have stroke width of the confetti, which is 0 by default. But pretty much the stroke width is going to be how big you want the outline of your confetti to be, and then the stroke color, all right? So by default is 0, so that means we don't have any outlines on our confetti. But let's go ahead and give it a value of 1, and then we'll keep the color black. So as you can see here, didn't even have to refresh, okay. I might have been refreshing unnecessarily, so excuse me. I just like to play it safe with the hot reload. But as you can see here, now our confetti has these black outlines. So if you want to do it that way, you know, I don't really see confetti with outlines like that, but if you want to, let's see what it looks like with 10. It's probably just straight black now. Yeah, just straight black. All right. Ooh, and it's slowing down. I don't want that. So we'll go back to 0 for that. All right. Back to our normal confetti. Cool. And then finally, we have the should loop value. And this is a very important value. All right. So the should loop attribute determines if the animation will reset once it completes, resulting in a continuous particle emission. So if this is set to false, then this means it will not loop. And so it will only last for however long we had that duration set for up top. So since it was 10 seconds, if it's false, it would only last 10 seconds. Then the confetti's done. But since it's true, after 10 seconds, it just loops around, all right? Something to keep in mind with that is if your duration is set very low to like maybe 1 second and you have it looping, you may think that it's gonna be continuous, but if you have like a latency issue with your network or something, it'll do that 1 second and then kind of like lag a little bit and then do it again and lag a little bit. So just because you have it set on looping, should loop to true, it doesn't mean that it will continuously work like that if you have a low duration for your confetti. So it's always ideal to have like a good amount as far as seconds go for the duration. So like 10 to 15 seconds for it, and then set the should loop to true. So these are all the properties that are on the confetti widget, and this is essentially how you would use the confetti widget for your app. So like I said, if there's any type of situation where you want to have like a mini celebration in your app, this package is perfect for you, Confetti 0.70. So be sure to check that out on pub.dev, and be sure to give it a thumbs up because I think it's a very good project. So shout out to Fun with App. They did a good job with that one. Well, that's pretty much it. If this video was helpful, please like, comment, subscribe as always, and let me know in the comments any other packages or any Flutter related topics you would love me to discuss. Until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day.